All right, and welcome back to Morning Express. It's time for The Way It Is, where we weigh in on what's been happening in the political scene and just give our comments and direction in that. And joining us this morning as part of the panel, we have Honorable Didmus Barasa and also Ambrose Weda. And a quick reminder of the question that we're asking this morning, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. The question is on SRC. So what we'd like to find out from you is, what is your take on the alleged plot by members of parliament to cripple the operations of SRC by slashing their regulators' pay? So that's a question we're going to be looking at, and looking at your comments as we go along a little bit later on. But let's start off with what's been happening over the weekend. And one of the things that we do know is that the president has been very clear that campaigns must stop. It's time for development. It's time for politicians to concentrate more on delivering what they promise the electorate, rather than going around campaigning. But that doesn't seem to have happened. So we'll start off with just some of the happenings that have been happening, and there's two main teams that have been accused of that. One now known as Team Tanga Tanga, and the other known as Kieleweke. Let's listen into what they had to say.
A trumpet perhaps too early for Judgment Day, but maybe not quite so to this gathering under the auspices of the Kikuyu Council of Elders, who converged at Kafiroine Stadium in Nyeri on Saturday with their guns locked to a target.
The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, he is free to come here anytime, but all we are saying, he should respect his boss. His boss is the President of Kenya, and when he comes to Kenya, to Central Province, he should not come here and campaign.
But Deputy President William Ruto, who was attending a church service at Olkalau PCA Church in the neighboring Nyandarua County, claims alleged busybodies might have duped the self-declared elders into an ulterior political conspiracy.
Wale ambao wanataka kutumia wazee wetu vibaya, niwaambie hiyo mambo ya madeni, mimi nilishawajibu ya kwamba mimi sidai deni kwa mtu ama jamii ama sehemu yoyote ya Kenya.
The Mount Kenya region, and particularly Nyeri and Murang'a counties, have been Ruto's regular destinations for his weekend tours. Tours which in recent days have escalated talk of political jitters in Ruto's camp, crystallized under the now famous Tanga Tanga group. Rooting for the deputy president's backing by the region he has twice rallied behind during his boss President Uhuru Kenyatta's election in 2013 and 2017.
Deni ni mimi na Uhuru Kenyatta tukiendesha serikali ya Jubilee, tutimize yale ambayo tuliwaambia wananchi wa Kenya tutafanya. Mambo ya barabara vile nimewaeleza, mambo ya maji, mambo ya stima, mambo ya TTI.
If you have a problem with the deputy president coming to Central Kenya, you come and face us. Sisi ndio tunamwalika. Na tunamwalika kwa sababu anakuja kutusaidia. Mnatuambia asikuje, mmepangia nani akuja tusaidie.
But leaders under the self-proclaimed Kieleweke group were preaching a different gospel at Murang'a ACK Church during the Thanksgiving service of former Kandara legislator Joshua Toro, who recently landed an appointment to the National Irrigation Board.
Kama wewe ni deputy president na usikii vile president anasema, kweli muko pamoja wapi? Mnaweza kuwa pamoja wapi? Mtu anakuja hapa mbele anasema wananchi ndio amenituma niseme hivi. Kufika Githurai wananchi wanamwambia kaa chini na ushuke kwa gari.
Serikali ni moja na ni rais. Don't tell us about a deputy. Na kama hujui utajua hivi karibuni.
This issue of Tanga Tanga, Kieleweke, whatever political beliefs you hold, I think everybody should hold their horses. The time of politics is coming.
The said Tanga-Tanga Kieleweke tug of war recently ignited a confusion in Jubilee over the criteria and content of memoranda the ruling party should submit to the Building Bridges initiative, jointly co-picked by President Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga after their March 2018 cooperation deal. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News.
All right, so there you have it. Team Tanga-Tanga and Team Kieleweke speaking from different sides of the script, but still campaigning. Weda, maybe the question here would be, what is campaigning? Because as far as politicians are concerned, maybe that's not campaign. Yet at the same time, there are those who feel that literally what they're doing is just trying to marshal their troops towards 2022.
I think campaigning, I have been to campaigns, although I didn't succeed. You popularize yourself and you do all sorts of theatrics and antics. You go to a funeral, you even weep over people you don't know, and you look very sad, and then you ask, what is his name? They tell you this one is called Didymus. He used to be an MP. Then when you stand up, you say to this woman, hey, Pamoja, he was a great man. Campaigning, so people get to know you. Try to be nice in things. That's now how you see people. You see some people going to worship in other far-flung places. They are there. Any small thing like being appointed a board chair is being celebrated in church, and people have come from all over. It is campaigning. You see,
so that's campaign.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
They are trying to look nice in the eyes of the people, and then you have an opportunity to talk to them. And as you talk to them, you fill their ears with the information you want them to believe. That's why when they talk, you don't hear them quoting the Bible, John 3:16, for God so loved the world. They are talking about some people walking, tanga-tangaring. And you also hear the deputy president talking about there's no debt, I've only come here to help, but he's telling you there's a debt.
So would you agree with the likes of Minor Commander, Honorable Minor Commander, who are saying that the deputy president is not towing the line as per the president would require?
I think they are right when they say that the deputy president is campaigning. It is only that they are speaking with a tongue in cheek. They are also campaigning against the deputy president. So they are doing, their work is to attack the deputy president. The deputy president has been told by his boss, please slow down so that we do the job. Now, the deputy president picked it and said, I'm just telling people that we are supposed to slow down so that we do the job, but he's campaigning.
But it's campaigning.
These other people are attacking him. They are all campaigning, and that is the folly of it.
All right. Honorable Didmas Baraza, you're part of Team Tanga-Tanga. Do you agree that you're campaigning? And I don't even know how you've accepted that name, Team Tanga-Tanga. Sounds very... But anyway, having said that, do you agree that the deputy president is on full campaign mode?
He is not. You know, show me any function that the deputy president attended just purely for no reason. When I say for no reason, it means a function where he was not invited. I'm saying, of course, there is nowhere that the deputy president has gone in this country without an invitation, either in a church harambe, in a school harambe, presiding over a graduation ceremony, launching, laying a foundation stone for construction of something.
That is true, Mheshimiwa. Allow me to cut you short, but that does not nullify or mean that he is not campaigning. The tone, the conversation that is had while he goes for those functions is what substitutes or makes us feel that...
So according to you, as a news anchor, you feel the deputy president should be sitting in his offices bringing tea?
No.
And when he moves out, his campaign.
But like I've said, I will repeat that the narrative, the stories, what they say during those meetings is what constitutes the campaign. They could go, if it's launching a school, you can go and literally talk about education, talk about the education system that we have, tell us what you're doing about other schools, and that's it. But now, when it comes to, I do not owe.
Oh, we live in a country where you issue a rejoinder, a response to what is being said by some people. Because you hold a public office, you are accountable with the people. When certain people talks about you, you have to issue a rejoinder. But if I restrict myself to the comments that are coming from the people you are calling Kieleweke, I mean, these are people who have even become insultive. These are people who are even who have become tribal hate mongers. people who are dividing this country. Because if you stand before the camera and you're telling people that the government is President Uhuru Kenyatta, don't tell me about the deputy. What does it mean? What has the deputy done to ensure that for you to feel that he's not part of government, while his roles are clear? And we really need to change, Mike, on how we think as leaders. We really, before we say anything, we need to listen to ourselves and just think of it and understand that how will this country be if each and every person behaved the same way we are behaving. They were saying for the last 1 month, you've seen even the formerly opposition parties, they are now also doing quite a number of harambes. The so-called launching, now they are launching projects. So I think we should not make some pronouncements that are aimed at attacking someone or addressing someone. Let us make pronouncements that will solve public problems. The same way we bring policies to solve public problems and enhance service delivery.
Well put. So you'd confidently say that Team Tanga Tanga are not campaigning?
We are not campaigning, and we are not stopping what we are doing today. Tomorrow, if we will be invited, even in Kisumu, in Mombasa, we will go. We go for a function after you've been invited. And for your information, when you are invited for a church harambe, it's not just your decision to attend, but it's the conviction that God puts in your heart that you must attend. How many of people are invited in a church harambe don't go? Even including the amount of money that you give, you are commanded so by God by speaking to your inner soul. That's how we believe as
We'll come to the issue of fundraising in just a bit, but Weda, according to Honorable Didmas Barasa, the fact that you've been invited does not mean you're campaigning.
Yeah. Now let me clarify to you. People are not invited by accident. Actually, as you campaign, you trigger the invitation. Normally you trigger. Even the funerals, we are told there's this funeral, this one is big enough, this one is not big, this one. So that's why you see that these invitations are regional. If it was just invitation, I know there are so many coming from Luland. The deputy president would be there. He's not there. But he's in Luyaland, he's in Kikuland. Now, surely, is it that all the Luos and the Kisses are asleep? They are not asleep. These are triggered. They say, this is the vote area that we want. So, trigger church service, trigger something to open, irrigation project to open. So, I only urge that, my brother, you need to be honest about these things. Even if you look at the standard today, Hon Gideon Moe was also doing Harambee. And the Harambee he was doing is slightly different from the one the deputy president was doing. They didn't talk about Tanga Tanga, they didn't talk about Kieleweke, they only said the fight against corruption should continue. They danced, they prayed and left. Why is there two Harambees, but one is so different? Because one has declared, I want to be president. Hon Gideon Moe has not declared. So his is normal. The other one, they were Kenadidimus were all there shouting and jumping and whatever. And the president is saying, deliver. Deliver. We are waiting. You know, when you see that people are dying of hunger in Baringo and Turkana, and our Jubilee administration promised that there will be enough food, affordable quality healthcare. That's what the deputy president should be telling us. This is what we have done, this is what we are doing. But going around to donate money in churches, it is good. I support it. But that should not be the major preoccupation with all of you running up and down, going up and down and talking aimlessly when people are dying of hunger. So please.
Right. So Honorable Didmas Barasa, again, we come back to the same question of the content of those, you don't want to call them campaigns, but let's call them gatherings, the content of the gatherings. Like now when I listened to Team Tanga Tanga over the weekend, there was hardly anything mentioned about the Big Four agenda. It was more about, you don't owe me, I don't owe you. This one has said, that one has said. We cannot live on that kind of politics, Mheshimiwa.
I want to look into your face and tell you that what you've just said here is not true. And you got to be honest about what you say or what your people have given you. If it is the KTN reporters, then they gave you wrong information. I was there myself. The deputy president talked about the housing, And he was very clear and candid about the benefit of the housing going to bring to the people of Kawangware and the people of Ruto. He told them that more than 600 young people are going to get employment. he told them to go and enroll in TTI, in Kinyanjui Technical Training Institute, to be able to get skills to contribute towards the Big Four.
Hasn't that what he has said all along, but nothing has been done? And when I talk about addressing the Big Four agenda, what I mean, it is not just talking about
you are changing what you asked me.
It's not just talking about it.
Michael, you are changing what you told me, what we just said here. You have said that no one talked about the Big Four in Ruto.
I started by saying the issue is
and I've just educated you a bit.
The issue is the content. There's nothing you've educated me. The issue there is the content. And what I'm saying is, this is what politicians have told us right from the word go. There's nothing different about that. When you talk about the Big Four agenda, we need milestones. This is what we have done so far. It's not just saying register. It's not just saying we're going to have jobs.
I put it to you again, that the responsibility of delivering the Big Four agenda is not just on the deputy president alone, but it's for the whole government.
He is the deputy
CEO. So you cannot be on the one hand
the deputy CEO.
Absolutely, yes. But what I'm saying here is that you are saying that there is nothing that is being done. I think the government spokesman will be able to defend that position. But from where I sit as a person who attended the function of the deputy president yesterday, and I have refuted your claims that we never talked about the Big Four agenda. We talked about the Big Four agenda and what should be done to ensure that whatever we promised Kenyans as a Jubilee party is implemented. So, I mean, whoever told you that...
Let's move it from...
Let me just react 1 minute.
Yeah.
My deputy president was very enthusiastic about Ghana. Is it Ghana Kulalu or
Galana Kulalu?
Galana Kulalu, and he was speak and you see his cheeks jumping up and down. What happened? What happened that we ended up with Turkanas dying of hunger, and they voted for Jubilee? We have people in Baringo for Jubilee. They are dying of hunger. We are actually seeing them dead. That you are talking about housing. We want food even under trees. So when you come and grab my deputy president, then you are now engaged in other things, and you have left the core business of food first, then under trees, from there they can give us medicine. Then you can talk about housing. But where will you get these people to live in these houses when they die of hunger before? So please, the 4 agenda items, even when you go there and take my deputy president, I support him, I love him so much. But this thing of talking other things other than the 4 agenda, and we have only 2 years, then others will come and say we have done 0, and they'll throw us out of power. Then you'll jump with those other people. Please, you people, stop it. Let's consider the 4 agenda items.
I think, Michael, what we need to do right here is that we need to be clear. Are we discussing about the government's ability to deliver the Big Four agenda, or we are discussing about what other people are saying we are engaging in early campaigns? Because the issues of the scorecard of government have always had issues with the government. Because government is an animal. The delivery of Galana Kulalu, of all other deliverables that the Kenyans expect, it's a matter that all government led by Uhuru Kenyatta is supposed to do. But are we discussing about the government scorecard, or we are discussing? Well, I can only competently talk about what we are doing with the deputy president when we attend function where we have been invited. But when it comes to discussing whether this government has delivered or not, then let us be clear in these discussions. If you are discussing about what the government has delivered or not, then I will know what to say. Because personally, I also have issues with the way this government has done things in this country.
Okay, well, the 2 of them are somehow joined, because at the end of the day, we are talking about the deputy president. And the Big Four agenda is something that Jubilee gave us as a master plan. And every opportunity that Jubilee has, they should be giving us, some progress report, as opposed to what 2022 beholds, whether they're campaigning or not. So that's why the 2 of them really come together. That's why they join together.
I have always been very clear as a politician. In fact, at one point, I asked Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, my party leader, to consider either dissolving his cabinet, Because you see, we have a lot of busybodies in this government. We have people who have just joined this government in the name of handshake, whose roles is not clear. They are bringing confusion. You don't know what is what. You don't know what their roles are in government. In one hand, they will tell you, we are not in government. Another person says, we are in government. And if you are in government, what are your roles? What are your contributions? And after the handshake is now close to more than 1 year, what have we seen that the government of this country begins to do things differently from the way they were doing? So I think this matter is should be interrogated on its own merit and
okay.
basics. So we all agree that we have very many things that are going wrong.
All right, I'll give you a chance to answer him, and that will be the closing one for that. But yeah, go ahead.
How does the handshake stop us from tilling land in Ghana, Kulalu, down there? Do they remove our hands? How does it stop us from taking maize to people in Baringo who are dying? Please, when our deputy CEO has left station for providing affordable quality healthcare, food, and now you people are roaming around in various churches every morning, evening, with bags of money, and other people dying. That is where we have a problem. Please, let's not blame handshake. We need all the handshake, but please, when you are next, just a minute, when you are next to my deputy president, now that you are tangering around with them, please tell him, Your Excellency, there is work with your boss. That work you people promise Kenyans. Go back to it. Then later on, you can come and walk through churches, Catholic, Holy Trinity, Holy Ghost, all these things. But for now, there is work to be delivered.
I agree. My only question has been, I want to agree with what Ambrose is saying about the government failure to live up to the expectation of Kenyans in terms of development. But I want to remind him that when President Uhuru Kenyatta engaged in a handshake with one Honorable Raila Odinga, there is a document that was signed. That document contained a number of issues that were to be addressed by the duo. And I've just said, as a Kenyan and as a representative of the people, that let us take audit and see that from the time of the handshake up to today, how many of those things that were contained in that MOU have been implemented. I mean, I'm not asking too much.
We are talking about one called MOU, the MOU between the president, the deputy president, the people of Kenya. Any other love letters between other people, the Kenyans are not concerned. The MOU was food. So when you are working with the deputy president, please, my pain is to see a fellow Kenyan dying just because he doesn't have food. Yet you people are praying. Which God is this when Kenyans are dying of hunger?
and I want us to also now just get to that part of the fundraisers, because that's another bone of contention that has come. And of course, what you mentioned, Honorable Didmas Baraza, is that you do that under the invitation of whoever your host is. But one of the questions, of course, that has also been raised is that of fundraisers and the amount. There was a proposal by one John Badi that the amount that should be given should be limited to 100,000. But of course, Honorable Didmas Baraza, you're on record as opposing that. And let's just listen into what you had to say at one time.
Kuna wale wengine walisema atuwalete sheria ati ya kusema ati ndio uitwe na Mungu kwa mhubiri lazima sijui uwe na degree. Wahubiri wanaitwa na Mwenyezi Mungu mwenye ako na marking scheme ya kujua nani mhubiri mzuri ni Mungu peke yake. Tena wameleta mswada mwingine ati ya kumuonesha Mungu ati asiwaamrishe watu ati watoe kiasi fulani ya pesa. Mimi ningependa kuwaambia wale ambao wanajihusisha na mipango ya kupinga injili hapa duniani si tofauti na wale ambao wako kwa Biblia ambao walikuwa wanajihusisha na mambo ya Sodomu na Gomora, na hayo yote itaporomoshwa chini, watashindwa, hakuna pahali pote ambapo watakwenda. Hivi vita ambao tunapigana na wao ni vita vya kiroho, na lazima Mungu atatusaidia na tutashinda, kwa sababu mambo ya Mungu haiwezi kashindwa na wale wengine ambao wanajaribu kuyapinga.
All right, Honorable Didmas Baraza, there of course those who have raised concerns as to the amounts given coming from places that cannot be explained. You still stand by the fact that, and what is your thoughts on the proposal of 100,000 being the limit?
That proposal is dead on arrival. You don't make laws or policies to target one individual or one particular group. You make laws and policies to solve public problems. And
you feel this is targeting one person?
Absolutely, because it's targeting the people who go to donate money through Harambes. You look at the narratives for the last 6 months, and you know whom they are targeting to. And I want to tell my good friend Honorable John Mbadi that we have enough problems from Nyanza. He rather could have brought a bill to ask the government to be compensating the fishermen whose fishing accessories are confiscated by the police of Uganda, other than bringing a bill that you are going to cap the donations in a church. When you go into a Harambe, when you go into a church, the way your inner person is convicted to give, the amount of money that you want to give depends on how your relationship with God. But you cannot claim that now you're going to bring a bill that is going to cap donations in Harambes up to 100,000 shillings, and you are not even questioning. We have some people in this country, when they do a birthday, they're spending like 50 million. Others will go into holidays in Seychelles and spend 5-10 million shillings. I mean, and the issue of saying where so-and-so is getting this money, is donating in Harambe, is not a question of us politicians to ask, but it's a question of the authorities, if at all they have a problem,
to follow up and
find out where this money is coming from.
Okay, Weda, your thoughts on?
There's a law that prevents public officers from participating in Harambes. That is there. What Honbade is saying is a bill coming from stingy people. And stinginess, I don't support it in any way. Whatever you give reflects who you are. If you met Weda and you have an issue, either I donate according to the issue at hand or according to my caliber. So if I gave you 50 shillings, you'll judge me at 50. It will be according to my call. If I met President Uhuru today and he gave me 100 shillings, I will say thank you out of courtesy. But outside there, I say this is an insult because of his level. But if there are people, if they gave me 50, I will celebrate and thank God. So the giving depends on what you have. I expect when the Deputy President chooses to give, it should be running into millions because he is highly blessed, from chicken selling and walking bare feet to the Deputy President with choppers and all this money and supporting this. So the amount he gives is, in my view, very good. And I expect the President to be higher. I expect Honorable Raila Odinga to even be higher, Kalonzo Musyoka higher, Gideon Moi even to be higher than all of them. But if somebody is getting his money in another way, then that is the way which needs to be investigated and sealed. But the stingy people should not be allowed to judge the generous ones.
So you agree with Honorable Didmas Baraza, that's a bill that would be dead on arrival?
Kabisa. I agree. In fact, I'm one believer that a church like the Anglican Church should have 10 choppers. Today the Archbishop is here, is there. It's not that if Didmas has and is roaming with it all over the funerals and churches in wherever, then we cheer. When it is in church, we say, where did you get it from? The stingy ones should not talk about the generous ones. But the ones who are stealing, that's the work of the police, and they should work very hard and deal with it. Okay. If you get, let's say, the president, or even Baringo Yakati, Baringo Senator, he can give his and give from there, and you know the resources are big. So if he came with 50,000, we'll say this is an insult. But if Honorable Badi, I know is a good brother and a great fellow, I know from their stinginess, if they gave you 50, you go to church and celebrate.
All right, I think you're in agreement on that, so I want us to wind up with the SRC. And it is alleged that there is a plan that is being hatched by members of parliament to cripple and tame the SRC by having commissioners put on a part-time basis and earning the earnings coming down from 1 million or thereabouts to 16,000 a month. Let's listen into a story that was put on earlier. Then we can get comments on that.
Shortly after 11 a.m., they hurriedly walked into the National Assembly chambers in their numbers, a venue that could accommodate big numbers that were here to deliberate a big issue.
Their contested monthly house allowance of 250,000 shillings that has been stopped by High Court. In their 3-hour meeting, the media was castigated over what MPs claimed is subjectivity and unwarranted attack against members, and it was decided journalists be given silent treatment over the matter. And when they emerged, no one was willing to move closer to any member of the fourth estate. So were the two speakers who co-chaired the session, choosing to even use a different route to their offices. Nonetheless, it has emerged parliamentarians resolved to file an appeal and a certificate of urgency to have their 250,000 house allowance reinstated. Secondly, in what is a clear revenge attack against the Lynn Mengich-led commission, the lawmakers endorsed a decision that only recurrent expenditure be approved for SRC to enable them pay monthly salaries for their staff. As for the commissioners, it was decided that they lose their monthly salaries and instead they should only be drawing allowances when they hold a meeting, which should be at least once after every 3 months, which means they will only be getting allowances 4 times a year. Another punitive measure is that all vehicles assigned to commissioners be withdrawn, as well as their allowances. Reason behind this being that the commission does not work almost entirely once they are done with publishing a new remuneration circular. And in the event that Parliament will lose its appeal, then they will resort to have all state officers from the President to an assistant chief forfeit their monthly house allowance in what they are calling a principle of equity among state officers, claiming that by denying MPs their monthly house allowance, it amounts to discrimination. Duncan Hemba for KTN News.
Right, Ambrose Weda, do you think this is a revenge mission by the members of Parliament?
I think it is not a revenge mission. It is some form of madness. They have run berserk. The greed and now they are blind. They don't see anything. They don't seem to see. They are only seeing 250. I can assure them they are going to lose in the Court of Appeal. Whether their case has merit or not, it will be lost. That's number one. Number two, even if they were to put SRC to work free of charge, there are Kenyans who are willing to work in that SRC free of charge, and they will still make the same decision that you don't have it. Otherwise, take the whole budget, the whole amount that we collect, and let the MPs divide it among themselves. Then they go home and leave us in peace. What they are doing, being a member of Parliament is part-time. They sit here almost they're supposed to sit here 3-4 days. And in most cases, they are paid for coming. They are not paid to live here. They are paid mileage when they come from the farthest point of the constituency to the Parliament. They are paid mileage. So why they would come here and they want to grab another 250? They have another 1 million. They seem to have everything. And they are loading it over us. This time, all of us, the courts, SRC, everybody, we are with you. We will make sure this money is not taken. There is other monies that you are taken before. One day, a court will order you to refund. Let it not be. When you have retired, you are at home. Then we are coming to sell the few things to recover that money. Oh, but it will be recovered.
Honorable Barasa.
I think, let me not talk about the merits of whether you should get this one, that one, this one. But let me talk about what my good friend is saying, that we are going berserk when we want to restructure SRC. There are very many proposals that members of Parliament brings to the floor of the House every day, not only on SRC, very many things. We have some who even want to restructure the Public Service Commission in line with all the other relevant commissions doing. And they are just proposals by some members of Parliament, which we are waiting for them to formalize and bring it on the floor of the House by way of an amendment or a bill, where they are saying that in looking at the mandate of SRC, that they should be sitting on part-time. There are others who are saying that they should be commissioners on secondment from other commissioners. because the Constitution says that the commissioner should be between 3 and 9. So it's a debate where we are saying, would SRC still function if there are 4 commissioners or 5 commissioners? Right now, the focus on Parliament is on what we are doing to SRC, because SRC, there is a court case between SRC and Parliamentary Service Commission. But this is not the only government entity that we are looking at. We have a reduced budget of very many state agencies. Go to the Ministry of Interior.
Going back to the house allowance, SRC have said that it is illegal. It's not supposed to be given to the members of parliament as per their advisory. But looking at the budget, which is going to be read very soon, members of parliament have already included it there. So it's not like you're waiting for the court to make a determination. That has already been decided by members of parliament that they're going to get the 250,000 anyway.
By the way, I put it to you that that matter is still before the court. There is nowhere where the court said that we stay payment of this money until the matter is heard and determined. So we will wait for the outcome of the court. And my good friend did say here that we are paid to travel from the constituency to the farthest to come to Nairobi here. And maybe we will ask our PSC to begin paying us lodging allowance, where the hotels where we are sleeping on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday before we go back to our constituencies on Friday. Nonetheless, what we have said as members of parliament, as a representative of the people, is to advance the equity and the fairness, where we are saying that all state officers should therefore not be entitled to a house allowance. Because the laws of this country are supposed to affect all persons, not equally. Not only a particular group. Because I hear even some people misleading Kenyans by saying that members of parliament are given a mortgage of 20 million. A mortgage is my money. I repay my mortgage in record 4.5 years. While the other state officers, they repay their mortgage the longest 20 years, 25 years.
Gentlemen, we'll have to wind up now.
Let me just say, this is mortgage they are talking about. They are getting free money. Free money means there's no cost. They are not paying interest. So let them use my money. When I go out to get the 20 million, I pay almost 16% on it. Please, that's number one. Number two, you have said if you lose in the court, you will strip others. That's a case of anger. Anger. Number three, what you are receiving is enough. These things of state organs, all these are just coming because we are telling you, you are not going to dip your hands on and pick another 250. So let's not, you saw the Kenyans should see that there was no tanga-tanga, there was no kieleweke. When it came to 250, it was a united nation, united parliament. And we must also be united against these people from looting more.
And I'll leave your closing comments, Honorable Barasa. We're out of time. Your closing comments.
But I just want to rejoin to refute what he has said here, that members of parliament get mortgage at lower interest rates. Very many circles assist their members in terms of negotiating with the banks on affordable interest rates. And as members of parliament being given money from Parliamentary Service Commission to buy houses at an affordable interest rate is not new. It's not a new thing that we can say that we are being favored or not. Very many Kenyans does these things.
All right.
My last comment on this would be, I really want to ask my good friend Honorable John Mbadi to consider dropping this repugnant bill that aims to embarrass our churches. And if he is stingy, let him not think that everybody else is stingy. We know that his boss are very rich people. And they don't want to spend this money in Harambes and developing the people that elected them. So what they do, that they keep this money so that they can come later on in the dish to Kenyans in the name of voting for them to win elections. So he should drop this bill. This bill is repugnant. He will face the wrath of God. And there is no difference between him who is bringing this bill And those
Go and
people
tell him in
who are
Parliament,
engaged in Sodom
Gentlemen,
and
we'll-
Gomorrah, the people who are engaged in sodomy, the people who are
We'll have
engaged
to
in
wind it up right there, Honorable
very bad
Didmas
things.
Baraza.
Bible,
Thank you very much.
says it's completely immoral.
We'll have to wind it up right there because of time. Ambrose Weda, Honorable Didmas Baraza, thank you for joining us this morning on The Way It Is. And as we take that break, a quick reminder of what we have lined up for you. We have the docket where we're going to be highlighting what is expected today in terms of news items and what we're going to be following up right here on KTN News. We also have sports chat lined up for you, and Robin Toskin today is going to be coming live from Kasarani, and I can see he's up and ready to get us some good information on what's happening in the sports fraternity. For now, we take that break. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.